Welcome to the Voice of America's News Words.
This word is from a story about protests in the U.S. and the worldwide reaction to them.
Global.
The decisions in Ferguson, Missouri and New York City sparked widespread protests and global news coverage. Protests continued for days all around the United States and inspired support across the world, including at this protest in London.
A globe is a round object with a map of Earth on it.
The word global means something involving the entire world. Global news coverage means that people all over the world heard stories written about what had happened in the U.S.
So the next time you hear the word global, you will know what this news word means. Welcome to Voice of America's News Words, where we talk about words in the news.
You might hear this in stories about the American Congress.
Gridlock. The short-term political impact could lead to more congressional gridlock on a host of issues, says Dalek.
I think it does deepen the animosity between not just the executive and legislative branches, but between Democrats and Republicans.
Gridlock is when traffic is blocked and cars cannot move. In our story, it means nothing is getting done.
The two political parties cannot agree. Legislation is blocked, so not much lawmaking is happening on Capitol Hill. Now, when you hear the word gridlock, you will know what this news word means. Welcome to the Voice of America's News Words. You might hear this word used to describe someone's beliefs on defense issues.
Hawkish.
She's more hawkish in her views. I think she was speaking, quite frankly, about what she believes in foreign policy.
Hawkish. A hawk is a fierce bird. The word hawkish describes someone's thoughts on defense issues. It means the person supports using military force.
The opposite of being hawkish is being a dove. Doves only want to use the military as a last possibility.
So the next time you hear the word hawkish, you will know what this news word means.
Welcome to the Voice of America's News Words. In the United States, federal laws are made by the Congress. Listen to this story about two bills.
Even if the immigration bill passes in the Senate, lawmakers in the House of Representatives are considering their own reforms. Agriculture also is a focus this week, as the Senate prepares to vote on the Farm Bill. The House is expected to take up the package later this month.
The House of Representatives is made up of 435 elected members. The number of representatives each state has depends on the number of people in the state.
Often, this group of lawmakers is called simply the House. Now, when you hear the term House of Representatives, you'll know what these news words mean. Welcome to the Voice of America's News Words, where we teach you about words you hear in the news.
This word has to do with helping people after Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines.
The U.S. military and the Australian government have deployed supplies and rescue personnel to the Calayaban and surrounding areas, and the U.S. says it is providing $20 million in humanitarian aid.
The word humanitarian means showing concern for other people.
The United States provided search teams, food, water, and medicine as part of its humanitarian help to the Philippines after Typhoon Haiyan struck their country in 2013.
Now, when you hear humanitarian, you will know what this news word means.
Welcome to the Voice of America's News Words. This word has to do with American prisons.
Incarcerated.
30 years later, the incarceration rate has increased 500%. The more than 2 million people now incarcerated in the U.S. make up the largest prison population in the world.
The word incarcerated means to be put in a jail or a prison. People who are incarcerated are there because they are guilty of a crime.
They are not free, and they cannot come and go on their own. Now, when you hear the word incarcerated, you will know what it means, and you can use it in a conversation.
Send us a comment at learningenglish.voanews.com.
Welcome to the Voice of America's Newswords, where we teach you about words in the news.
Today's word has to do with criminal charges and the courts.
The indictment that the grand jury returned today charges the defendant with numerous counts, among them conspiracy to use a weapon of mass destruction resulting in death and using a weapon of mass destruction resulting in death.
An indictment is a list of charges against someone after he or she has been arrested for a crime.
It details what the person will stand trial for in a U.S. court of law. Now, when you hear the word indictment,
your English will be good enough to know what this news word means.
Welcome to Voice of America's Newswords, where we talk about words you may have heard in the news.
This news word describes things that are important to modern life.
Infrastructures.
Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel says they have clear guidelines.
Protect our people and critical infrastructures in Iraq.
Infrastructure is a word for the physical structures needed to operate a society or country.
These can include roads, railways, airports, and seaports. They make transportation possible or provide water, electricity, or fuel.
Now, when you hear the word infrastructure,
you will know what it means.
Welcome to the Voice of America's Newswords, where we explain words you hear in the news.
Many times you hear this word in stories about war or violence in a country.
Nigeria says it's turning the tide against the homegrown radical insurgency Boko Haram that it has wrestled with since 2009.
Insurgency is a word that means a group of people who are trying to take over a government.
Insurgents use subversion and violence to achieve their goals. They can be members of a group who rebel against their leaders.
Now, when you hear the word insurgency, you will know what this news word means. To learn more news words, visit our website, learningenglish.voanews.com.
Welcome to the Voice of America's Newswords, where we teach you about words in the news.
This word is from a story about the U.S. government gathering telephone and internet records.
The basic questions are these. Is the surveillance relevant to a terrorist investigation? And does the government monitor actual conversations and emails, or just look at who's involved?
Investigation means to examine something closely and carefully. In this story, the government is directing the investigation to find terrorists.
Police, as well as scientists and other people, carry out investigations to learn about events and how they happen. So, the next time you hear the word investigation,
you will understand what it means.
Welcome to the Voice of America's Newswords, where we teach you about words in the news. Many business news stories use this word when talking about making money.
The U.S. Central Bank noted in its statement that the job market has improved, consumer spending and business investment has increased, and the housing market is stronger.
When people or companies put money into a business, for example, with the hope of making more money, it is called an investment. Investments can include stocks, bonds, property, and equipment. Businesses make investments hoping to increase their profits.
Now, when you hear the word investment, your English will be good enough to know what this news word means.